Alright, I am Tahuti Kepura Iteru. Now I just want to do a quick video dealing with these declassified files, right, released by the CIA right here. So I want to do a quick video dealing with the information in some of these files, right, and how I want to show you the significance of this, right. So now the reason why I'm doing this video is because what you're gonna understand is that whenever they do things like this, whenever they do a type of releasing of these files, what tends to happen is they can give you some good information, but then they can mix in the falsehoods. So we're gonna try and detour the falsehoods, right, and deal with some of the relevant information, right. Now, you know, a lot of the information that I've, you know, in these files right here, a lot of the information, again, it's not new information. Again, it's nothing really. You know what I'm saying? To an occultist, to a researcher, it's nothing really. You say it's nothing that you don't already know. You see what I'm saying? So again, we want to look at some of these files right here. Now again, this is just a news story right here. Now again, we want to look at this. So now this part's key. I want to look at this right here. Let's see if we can zoom into this real quick. If you can see that. Okay, let's look at this. So again, I want to show. So again, we're gonna look at this right here. Now, this right here says psychokinesis. Now, this psychokinesis, basically what they're trying to say is that they're moving. There's a possibility of moving things with mental powers, or moving physical objects with mental powers. Now, I'm gonna say off the bat, they're not doing this. This right here, they're not doing this. They're not doing this. This is garbage. Again, this is the falsehood. They're not doing this. You see what I'm saying? Now, ESP telepathy, that's a possibility. Dealing with this occultism, a lot of the research that I've been dealing with, that's a possibility. But this right here, that's garbage. The psychokinesis, that's the garbage. They're not doing that. So now, let me zoom back out real quick. Zoom back. So again, so now the files released was this Stargate project, right? This Stargate project. Now the Stargate project, the project Stargate was actually a remote viewing program. That's what it is. It's remote viewing. That's the whole project Stargate. Now the key aspect of this is that this is what Bobby Hemmitt was dealing with. Bobby Hemmitt used to say that this back in the 90s. Now he was saying this, and this is the significance that I want to deal with. Bobby Hemmitt was saying this stuff. He was saying that they were doing remote viewing to spy on people. And again, remote viewing is a type of psychic technique now, where the person is able to project them or project their consciousness now and view areas that they're not actually in. And this is what they were doing. Bobby Hemmitt said this is what the CIA was doing. And he was telling people how to block it and stuff. This is what he was saying in the 90s. And people laughed at that. They were laughing at that. And now the information's coming. Now that's the key. So the remote viewing, that's what the whole Stargate is. And they're mixing in falsehood now, talking about some UFOs. That's the garbage. There is no physical ships. There are no physical ships. That's the garbage right here. You see what I'm saying? But see, with the UFOs now, right? That just means unidentified flying objects. So they're laughing at us when we say UFOs and we think aliens, we think, you know, we think intelligent life forms, but UFO just means unidentified flying object. So if I took a frisbee, threw that frisbee, right, and somehow there was a gust of wind that allowed that frisbee to carry on flying through the air, and they saw that frisbee is now technically a UFO. But again, it's a frisbee that I threw. You see what I'm saying? So it's not intelligent life, it's not alien. So again, they're laughing at us when we say UFO means aliens. That's not what it means. So that's the garbage. There are no physical ships. That's garbage. You see what I'm saying? But again, you know, so some of the stuff that they're saying is real and some of the stuff is garbage. Again, I want to look at this right here. So now if we look at this right here, so this is the actual file right here, but this right here is an overview. Now if we zoom in again now, you know what I'm saying, if we zoom in again now, we see the dates right here. The release date 1998, publication date 1993. So this right here is old information. They've been had this released. But again, what they often do is they create these news stories, you see what I'm saying, and make it seem like it's new information where they've been had this, they've been released this, but again, to the public doesn't know that, you know, you can view these files, things like that, you can view this information. So it's new to the public, but the release date, again, they've been had this 1998. This is old information. This is old information, right? But again, we're going to go through this quickly right here. So again, this is old information. But the key stuff that, you know, that they came out with now, one of the key things though, again, the key files, I put the key files in the description box. Now the key files again is this one right. This one's key. Now what it's talking about is that there's different fields of energy. It's saying there's fields of energy, right, that they can't pick up based on their regular equipment and regular forms of measurement. They can't pick it up, but they know that it exists. So they're saying that there's different bioenergetic fields of energy, and this is what this one's talking about right here. So this one's interesting, and he's talking about the problems of trying to measure it. You see what I'm saying? So this file's key. So talking about the problems of trying to measure this stuff, and this file's key. Talking about thermodynamics, the law of thermodynamics, all these different things. It's talking about the problems of trying to measure this stuff. So again, this is key. This one's key, right? So again, I put the key ones in the description box so you can read through them, but you know what I'm saying? So again, the problems of electrodynamics, things of that nature, you know, different energy fields. But on another interesting aspect that it talks about. Now, so again, it talks about psychic phenomena, right? It talks about this Kirlian photography, and this part's also key. Let me see. Maybe go back here. This one. Let me see. So yeah, it's talking about Kirlian photography, right? Not this one, but yeah. Okay, yeah, go back. Anyway, and the Kirlian photography. Now that's another key. So again, they're talking about psychic phenomenon, right? And they're using Kirlian photography to measure this psychic phenomenon. And the reason why this is so key is because when Kirlian photography first came out, which is this right here, and that's that image right there. When this first came out, or when it, you know, back in, you know, years prior, when a lot of people were talking about this Kirlian photography and its way of measuring the auras and things of that nature, people were dismissing it and saying that's pseudo, that's garbage. You see what I'm saying? They were dismissing it and saying it's garbage. That's not what it is. That's not what they're dealing with. But then now, but behind the scenes now, they're using this Kirlian photography, right, as a way to measure psychic phenomena. So they're trying to debunk Kirlian photography with these articles right here and say it's not dealing with auras and saying it's just dealing with it's air molecules, things of that nature. But then they're using the Kirlian photography now as ways of measuring, you know, this psychic phenomenon. Again, it's in these files. I'm going to leave it in the description box. You see what I'm saying? It's in these files. But the main aspect of these files, the main body of what that was contained within these files, again, it's this remote viewing. That's what it was. You see what I'm saying? It's remote viewing. You see, which they say for short, and they say RV for short. But again, it's this remote viewing. Again, if you zoom into this, efforts to improve. What does that say? Efforts to improve remote viewing. So that's what it was. That's this whole project, is remote viewing. And Bobby Hemmitt's been saying this again, 1998, 1999. Look at this stuff. And Bobby Hemmitt was saying this in the 90s. They were using remote viewing to spy on people. This is what they were doing. Remote viewing to spy on people. And that's what these files is about. So the whole point of this video, again, so most of it's garbage. The UFOs, that's garbage. You see what I'm saying? The UFOs, all that's garbage. That's the disinformation and the mixing in. You see what I'm saying? And the unconscious masses, they're going to look at it and think, oh, you know, they're doing this psychokinesis. That's garbage. Not doing no psychokinesis. There's no UFOs. That's the garbage. But this whole Stargate project, what is the real stuff is the remote viewing, which again, from my occult research, stuff like that exists, and they're doing that stuff. Bobby Hemmitt's been telling you about this stuff. The remote viewing, right? And the telepathy and the, you know, the different psychic phenomenon and the auras and the healing the hands, and you see what I'm saying? All of these exist. Right, but the disinformation now, the psychokinesis and the UFO, that's the garbage. You see what I'm saying? But again, the whole point of this video, based on this information that they're releasing right here, we gotta start doing now. We gotta go back to the Bobby Hemmitts. We gotta go back to the Dalbert Blairs, and we gotta go back to the old school Phil Valentine. We gotta go back to these old school lectures and look at what they were saying. If Bobby Hemmitt was so correct in what he was saying, that they was doing remote viewing, you see what I'm saying? But they're releasing it now, saying, oh, you know, 20 years ago, we were spying on you, remote viewing. You never knew what we were doing. So it's garbage. Releasing it now is garbage. You see what I'm saying? You see what I'm saying? Like 20 years ago, we were spying on you. And now here's, you know, here's what we did. So it's garbage. Releasing it now is garbage. So these documents are really nothing, really. It's nothing to a person who studies and a person who's researching. It's nothing, really. But the key, though, it shows that what Bobby Hemmitt was saying was correct. So when you thought it was crazy, you thought it was, you know what I'm saying, it was off the wall. It was real stuff. So we got to go back to the Bobby Hemmitts. We got to go back and study with the Bobby Hemmitts. I know some of y'all used to watch those lectures, even I myself. You know what I'm saying? I'm still watching them, but we got to go back to them because there's real stuff. Remote viewing. This is what he said. They were doing remote viewing, spying on people. And here's the documents coming out. So we got to go back to the Bobby Hemmitts. We got to go back to the Dalbert Blairs. That's all I can say on this aspect right here. That's the significance of these documents right here, showing that Bobby was right. You see what I'm saying? He was a true master teacher. We got to go back to those lectures right here. You see what I'm saying? So again, that's a quick video right here, black people. I hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you took some good information from this. All right, black people. Thanks for watching.